Hi, I'm Potter, and you're watching Spike Tap Channel. Hey guys, I'm Christine Potter-Chi. I'm the head coach of Evil Geniuses Valorant.
Awesome. Obviously, I'm Camus. I'm the Spike Tap, and I'm here with Potter today. They just came off a loss, unfortunately, but I'm actually going to go back a little bit before that to the start of, I guess, this year, kind of middle, end of last year, for your rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like, not everybody has to deal with a full rebuild. Most teams swap out a couple players. So I want to ask you, like, when you know that a full rebuild is coming, no matter who the players are, like, what are you thinking? What's your, like, thought process? What's your approach? Because I know you're a big fan of systems.
Yeah.
So are you thinking, like, oh my God, I have to change a bunch of systems around, or is it, nah, I just have to teach them my systems?
It's definitely the latter. It's just teaching them my systems, right? My systems aren't. They're not. They're just logical. They make a lot of sense,
Yeah.
and it's what's most optimal in a lot of scenarios. So it's not like teaching somebody it's not like teaching somebody something so random that it would be hard to comprehend. I think it's pretty apparent who the quick learners are when you're trialing for. And seeing what kind of players are receptive to your systems and things like this.
Yeah, for sure. And then obviously a lot of it's really hard to measure like exactly what a coach's impact is. But I guess in terms of coaches, you're probably viewed as one of the more impactful ones because we've seen what you can do with a team that is struggling and then win worlds. Or I guess if you want to call it champs. But yeah, so we've seen like a lot of progress from you with multiple rosters now.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I just wanted to ask you, like, how do you talked about this in an interview a long time ago, actually, about, like, adapting.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of went at length about how, like, that's a big strength for you to be able to have your players adapt.
Yeah.
So I guess, like, after today, like, what do you feel like are some of the changes you guys need to make? Because it feels like, from the outside looking in, you guys are able to put together rounds and then pick up some steam.
Yeah.
And then maybe the steam is lost. So, like, what do you think is missing there?
That's a great question. One of the things about the set pieces and these strategies and these systems is that you're going to have some players who are able to just make your... How do I explain this right? Demon won last year. I barely coached him individually. There was a lot of coaching for the macro so that he can understand what everyone else is going to be doing across the map, but individually there wasn't a lot of developing because I didn't want to ruin anything for him, right? He was already so fresh, and his confidence levels and how he peaks things, how he handles duels, it's just really fresh, right? And on the other side of things, Jogimo, for instance, I've been coaching him for 3 years now, and there can be sometimes scenarios where he would want to not make a mistake or he'll want to make it perfect. Just like the scrim that we played last week or just like we drew up, things like this. So everyone is different. And I don't know why I'm making this answer so long, but it's because it's so hard to answer how I decide what I'm going to focus on per player. But ultimately, if the strat doesn't work, that should work at your level, then you have to figure out where the problem is. Can you band-aid it? Is it simply this player is missing and whiffing, or do we need to add more utility, or does that player need to just get better and get confident on that angle? Is this an angle that we're actually going to ride or die for, or is this an angle where he doesn't need to ego this, like he can just stay tucked and we can ask for more util? So those are the kinds of things that we're constantly figuring out. And to go back to your point, and even in this series, we lost so many 5v3s. We lost so many post plants and advantages that, generally speaking, we should be able to convert. But we whiffed. But we looked shook. We lost our duels. And we weren't positionally ready to win those duels. And it's running out of gas. You can just simply say that we ran out of gas and we lost confidence there. That's not how we scrim. That's not that's not what we looked like the week leading up to today. That is crumbling under the pressure. That is because map 1, things didn't go the way it should have. And map 2, we fucking crumbled.
Yeah, okay, so that's another thing is, even players in the past have mentioned that you're pretty good for the team's mental as well. So obviously you can see I'm focusing like on your specific impact, but I just wanted to ask, like, what do you do then in this situation when your team loses? Like, obviously there's going to be words later for everybody, but I guess, like, what's that combo like, without giving away anything, but like, what are you going to say to them? What are you going to be like, hey, like, we need to do these things, and what do you see that you need to fix besides just like running out of gas? Because obviously if you have the tools, I guess you just need to figure out like why you're not able to execute.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah.
Well, you need to have solutions, right? And the solutions that you have need to be something that is going to give your players confidence. So, for instance, we were down 0-5 on the first map, and when I took my first pause, and in that instance, I just called a fast strat. One of the set pieces that I know is going to just get us a duel right away, dependent on what our util shows us in the first phase. So it's just straightforward. It's very black and white. There's no thinking that you need to do. You don't need to dissect this part of the map, tell your teammate, hey, this piece of util is here, hey, this Asian is here. There's no defaulting. There's no thinking. So I like set pieces like that, obviously, to just kind of get us one kill, get us that one round that's going to loosen us up, like get us back into just a straightforward duel that's going to kind of change the tide for us. But again, it depends on the situation as well.
For sure. I guess just to close things out, because those are like really amazing answers, and it's still really early on the stage, obviously, so it's pretty early to be doom and gloom. I mean, I'm sure you guys are feeling confident.
I'm not doom and gloom at all. I'm not doom and gloom. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to get to actually. Is you kind of started answering it a little bit, but like, is again another thing you've talked about in the past is kind of like the community perception versus like how things are in the team. You've mentioned this before, like when you guys had a rough start last year, the community was like, oh, EG's not doing great, but you personally said that you felt like everything was fine. You guys were doing great, you were on track, you were making visible progress, everybody was working together well. So I just wanted to ask you about that. Is it like the same exact situation here? Like, no matter what the community sees or we see, it's obviously much different when you guys are in a team room together practicing.
Yeah. It's tough to say. I would say for sure it's not doom and gloom for as you said, for us, for sure. The way we've been practicing and the way that we've been able to win our rounds and lose our rounds together as a team versus the top echelon of NA teams kind of gives us a good idea of where we stand for ourselves, our own expectations that we gauged for ourselves. And, I kind of appreciate once again the situation I'm in of being the underdog and being that the community has lower expectations this time again for us because of the names on paper. That's definitely once again going to help us, at least give us a little bit of breathing room in the beginning of the season, because we need it. We need it, and I think just how we handle these next few weeks is definitely going to change a lot for us of how the rest of the year unfolds.
For sure, and this might feel loaded, but it's not. I just wanted to ask you what you think personally is your like most powerful, like what's your like superpower that you are able to do with players? Like what's your most impactful thing that you feel like outside of like, oh, I just have good strats and stuff like that? Like where do you feel like you personally make the most impact for the team?
That's a good question. Probably individual development, I would say. I think I'm really, I'm very proud of that. I've spent a lot of time with individuals on the team to get them up to speed, to get them good enough to be able to handle more advanced layers and things like that.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you for joining me.
Cool.
Hopefully I get to talk to you again next time after your next winners interview.
Thank you.
And we'll talk again soon.
I hope my answers were good.
Yes.
I'm so tired right now.
No, those are great.
Okay.